Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. More PR, less expectation, zero standards. What are we doing here, guys? I thought I'd wait until the end of the Champions League before I said anything. I just watched the Celtic and Bayern Munich game. My God, Bayern Munich come back to win. They have a winning mentality, a never say die attitude. What do we have? What do we have? Big up to everyone that's watching. I hope you're doing very well on this Tuesday evening in England or wherever else you are in the world. Listen, we're going to address some of the news regarding Willie Issa. Some more PR essentially has come out, and we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about anything else that may or may not be relevant to the club at the moment. Different reactions that I'm seeing with the protests. Some people, why are Chelsea fans having these protests? What's the reason for it? So we're going to go through that. And also just seeing what the fan base is saying at the moment, because some people seem to be like me, very concerned. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised if you're not concerned. And then you've got other people who think it's all good. Hey, life's good. Whatever it is, they're not worried about Chelsea. Listen, I'm not saying that you have to be worried about Chelsea. We all have stresses in life. Chelsea used to be a release. It used to be something that you would go and watch, and you would enjoy watching it. You would enjoy talking about the club. When you spoke about the club, you had fantastic things going around. Oh, we're competing for this trophy. We're competing for that trophy. Oh, the owner's fantastic. Got great managers, great directors. We're doing great business in the transfer market. We're good at selling players. We're good at buying players. If we don't buy the players, we're going to buy another player. There's always something to be excited about. We get results. We've got a good fan base. So this is where we are, guys. This is where we are at the moment. And listen, I'm always going to enjoy watching Chelsea in the sense that it's a part of my lifestyle. I love doing it. I've got a lot of time for Chelsea. Without Chelsea, I don't know where I would be. I think that, like a lot of people, it has, it's kept me from doing a lot of other things that wouldn't be good. Let's just put it like that. I'm sure a lot of you in the same boat, going out and I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? That makes me sound like I'm some sort of dealer. I'm not. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm not. You get what I mean, all right? Chelsea's good. Yeah? Football's good. It keeps you out of trouble. But now, the thing that we love is fucking us in the arse. Every single day, I'm streaming, and it's negative. And last season, I got criticised for being too positive because I had hope. But you would always have hope, especially when your club and your fan base are all together. You're all united. You all want the same thing. You want to get to a stage where you come out and you see the light and you know what it takes to get there. But unfortunately, we are not on the same page as the owners. That's what I fear. So listen, let's talk about, in fact, let's go with the chat and then I'm going to go get started with the show. Sean, big up to you, my friend. Who do you think is going to start in goal against Aston Villa? I think Jorgensen. I think that we've seen enough changes. Jorgensen needs to be given a chance over a period of months. To be honest, I wouldn't change the goalkeeper over the whole season, irrespective of how shit Jorgensen is. To be honest with you, it just it proves how bad we are at recruiting players. But I have a bit of faith in Jorgensen. His stats are good in La Liga. Stats aren't everything, but they are something. For me, it's difficult to play as a goalkeeper in any top team. But when you're playing in a top team with, a very toxic environment, not great players around you, you're not being given defensive cover, you got to give the guy a little bit of patience. But that doesn't mean everyone deserves it, because a lot of people have had more than enough time, and which is why we're having these conversations. 1983 Chelsea, up the Chelsea, my friend. Good to see you on the stream. Pierre says, big up, Alex. Good to see you. Streaming again. Yay. I know. Well, guys, the way we're doing it now is 2 streams a day. And if I can't do it, someone else will. So that there will always be a show. Unless it's a match day, then there might only be one. Or the day after, where it will only be an evening show instead of a lunchtime show because we do the podcast. So the goal is to interact with you more, guys. Run more shows and be more on top of things because the world of Chelsea moves quickly. The world of football moves quickly, and we want to make sure that you don't miss anything. I'm learning quite a lot myself doing this. I'm not going to sit here and say that I would be able to speak as much about the club that I love without doing all these streams because I'm actually doing a lot of research while we're live. In the lunchtime show, we were going over, can Blueco actually sell the club? Can Blueco be sold? And we looked into the Glazer clause, the money that they are required to invest, and also the limits on how much debt they can put onto the club. They currently have £800 million of debt, which they leveraged against the club, which is not a good thing. But listen, they are still restricted in that sense based on what I've read. And that goes to show that if Roman hadn't put in place what he did, then we would be in a much worse situation, and it could be 1.6 billion as opposed to 800 million. So almost you feel like we should be grateful for Roman in itself. And yeah, my fears for the ownership and what they're looking to do financially and where they're looking to take this club is actually worse than what a lot of people think, because I don't think that this is a 10-year jobby. I don't see how for what they want to make out of this, I don't believe that a 2x or even a 100% return is good enough. I think they're going to be looking to 3x, 4x their money. Yeah. Which means that the money they invested, they want to quadruple it, essentially. How are they going to do that? They're going to do that by owning the club for a longer period of time and essentially doing something similar to what the Glazers did from 2032, which I believe is genuinely a plausibility. This is why the protest is so important, guys. This is why you need to come to the protest. I just saw a video from Younes. I didn't watch the video, but I saw the title. He's explaining what the protest is about. I suggest you check out that video if you want to know more about the protest. But again, I'm going to be explaining it as well. Now, my stance on this protest is you protest what you want to protest. But as long as we turn up as a fan base, we will still be taken seriously. Other people feel like if we don't have the same message, then we won't be taken seriously because we look divided. But there's no divide when everyone's unhappy. You're either happy or you're unhappy. You either like what the club is doing or you don't. It's very evident that nobody enjoys watching Chelsea at the moment. Nobody enjoys reading about Chelsea. Nobody enjoys discussion about Chelsea in the sense that every time you talk about it, it's negative. Why? Because they're doing a shit job. The owners are doing a crap job. The directors are doing a crap job. The manager's doing a terrible job. And the players aren't performing. But the players aren't being given any support. Again, I trickle up. The manager is not being given the players to work with. And the board of directors are being limited in terms of how they are able to recruit. Because I'm sure with the 1.5 billion we spent, that we would have gone and signed a top striker and a top goalkeeper. All these, we talk about a spine. We would have gone and got we would have had these things if the ownership wanted to. But they don't. They want young players that they can flip on for a profit. They want 10% of the costs to be wages, and that's it. They want to go down the route of Brighton. They think that Brighton win almost as much as all the other top 5 teams, whatever the fuck that means. Brighton have only ever won 1 trophy, as far as I'm aware, in 1910. Go and look up Chelsea's trophy cabinet. Go and look up Liverpool, United, Arsenal, fucking Tottenham. Tottenham have won more than Brighton. How can you model Brighton? We know why. This is why we are here. This is why we will be outside Stamford Bridge, because it's unacceptable. It's not good enough. It's depressing. But as depressing as it is, that doesn't mean that you should stop going to the games if you're a match-going fan. That doesn't mean that you should stop loving your club, watching your team. That's never the solution, in my opinion. That's like being in a toxic, being in a toxic relationship. If you're in a toxic relationship, maybe you should just cut ties. But this is a relationship I'm afraid we can't break out of. You chose your team, you got it. You had some bloody good time. You had some great times. And now we're about to have some difficult moments. So suck it up. We're in it for the long haul. We're going to be here for much longer than Clear Lake and Bowley. I can assure you of that. Jay says, we'll get past this storm soon, brother. I hope so, man. I hope so. But how quick is soon? I mean, fucking hell. You know, trust the process and all that. What are we looking at? 1 year, 4 years, 10 years? 3 seasons, 6 managers, no trophies. Bowley selling tickets on Vivid Seats, ripping out our Champions League winning squad, sold our academy players for pure profit, sold the hotel's mansion car park. You hit the nail on the head there, Nicky. What have we got left to sell? I'll tell you what it is. Our soul, my friend. Do not sell your soul. Keep pushing, my friend. Keep pushing. Keep supporting the team. But you support the team. That doesn't mean you support the people who own it. Support Chelsea and that's it. But if you want to, go down the route of not financially supporting the club, then that also makes sense. Tom Mann says, saying Champions League isn't our aim this season was the worst comment for a manager to make. Chelsea FC is a Champions League football club. Absolutely. Mikel said it himself. Like, it's stupid, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. Spent 2 billion, no striker. Haven't replaced Thiago Silva. We got rid of Kepa and ended up with bloody Sanchez and Philippe. Now, I can't judge Jorgensen because I haven't seen enough of him. He wasn't impressive against Brighton, but I think he's got another 10 shit games before we even have this conversation, because it can't be worse than Sanchez, surely. And that's my stance on Jorgensen. Now, as for Kepa, I'm glad we got rid of him as well, to be honest, because he was a bum. Let's not sit here and, Kepa was crap. The standard is not Kepa. I don't even think Kepa can get into Bournemouth's team, let alone Chelsea's team. Oh, I needed that. These directors and owners are really messing things up, absolutely. John Obi Mikel said his piece, absolute legend. Stuart said, Alex, Chelsea never kept me out of trouble back in the day. Well, if you were in that generation, then I'm sure there's probably more trouble for you. But I'm sure you still had some fun, didn't you? Part of me wishes I would have been alive that, but can't control when I was born. But I've heard some great stories, and one thing I may actually end up doing. I've had a few fans or people that I know from the club saying, Alex, why don't you do some sort of old school Chelsea show? Now, I'm not old school, I know that, but getting older Chelsea fans on to talk about their experience. I got no issue trying to speak to some of these guys and just talking about some of their experiences. Probably wouldn't be live. I think it would be pre-recorded. I may be live, who knows? But I would love to speak to Jason Mariner and people. I'd love to. Whether they would speak to me is something else. So let me know if that's something that interests you. I'm willing to do it. Spending nearly 2 billion with this quality of players is a travesty, and to still hear people backing them is a shame. Well, they're deluded if they're backing them. They're absolutely deluded. I don't know what they want. What do they want? Will we make 7 points in the next 3 games? Good question. Chelsea fixtures. Let's share my screen with you guys. Come on, then. Let's fucking have it. Aston. Right, let me know in the chat what you think. Aston Villa, we can all agree we'll lose. There's no way we win that game. The state this club is in at the moment, We don't beat Aston Villa. They strengthened, we weakened. They're progressing, we're regressing. They have a manager, we have a coach. He has hair, ours doesn't. He has players, ours doesn't. Don't even have any depth. So, no, we lose against Aston Villa. What's Southampton's run been like recently? Honestly, I think it's good to just look at how they've played recently, because I'm sure they picked up points in 1 or 2 games recently. I've got a few friends who are Southampton fans. Let's see. Matches. Fucking hell. Come on, guys. Results. So they lost 3-1 to Bournemouth. They lost to Burnley. They beat Ipswich. Oh, we've got to beat Southampton, haven't we? Come on, we're not that bad. Yeah, I'm taking 3 points against Southampton. There's almost part of me trying to find a negative. But no, we'll beat Southampton. And I think we draw against Leicester, to be honest with you. I watched the Arsenal game. Arsenal had to make some good tactical substitutions, some good tweaks to actually get anything out of that game. Leicester set up well. Van Nistelrooy is a good manager. So in total, I see us getting 4 points out of 9, which would leave us on how many points in total? That would leave us on... Yeah, it's not ideal, is it? Not ideal. 47 points. But obviously, you've got to rely on Bournemouth to drop points, City to drop points, and Forest to lose all 3 games to stay where they are. And then you've got to hope that these guys don't pick up. So not a lot of confidence, if I'm honest with that. Smash the like and subscribe for all the great work Alex and Chelsea Fan TV does. Up the Chelsea. Thank you very much, Chelsea Young Boys. Big up to you. Guys, we've got almost 100 in the live right now. Let's get up to 100 likes. 1983 Chelsea. Greedy speaks as a true fan. Absolutely. We cannot trust these owners to change the model. They have lied to us for 3 seasons. Enough is enough. Blue Co out. And this protest is set up by match-going fans. It's just being promoted online. Absolutely. So, yes, this is not just some YouTube facade. This is a real thing. And there wasn't a YouTube platform that promoted this. This was a normal guy on Twitter who said, I have about 7 followers. Nobody else is going to do it, so I'm going to do it. This is when the protest is, and it's happening now. So big up to whoever that was. And there you go. The protest is very simple. For those who didn't get it, is Blue Co out, Clear Lake out. My stance on it is whatever you want to protest. I'm happy with that as well. Fair enough. But if it is change the model, still turn up. Don't feel like you can't come, because it's all the same, isn't it? Change the model can still mean, it means you're not happy. It means you're unhappy as a fan base. But I think the majority of people, myself included, are Blue Co out. That's why we will be going. Chelsea Kingdom, good to see you, mate. Come on, Chelsea. Tom says there needs to be a balance of that model, young players for the future, and then some big names to win things right now. Without a balance, it's very hard to progress. How do you develop young players if there's no balance? How does a young player know what is the standard if he's never seen the standard? He is the standard. So what does he have to strive towards? It's like anything. You are the what's the word? There's a good sentence. I can't remember what it is. You are who you spend your time with. If you spend your time with people who drink, I can imagine you drink. If you spend your time with people who play video games, I'm sure you play video games. If you spend your time with people who watch football, you're probably a football fan. And if you spend your time with people who are worse than you or as good as you at something, it's very difficult for you to improve. If you are around better players, this is just a known fact. You will improve more as a player. We're actually hindering the development of our young players by not having experience. We could easily go down the route of signing these guys and still flipping players for profit while also maintaining the integrity and the standards at this club through having experienced players who knows what it takes to win, who understand that in order to win, you have to be consistent, not throughout weeks, throughout months, throughout years. John Obi Mikel said something very, very interesting on his podcast the other day. I watched it. And he said, why are people comparing Cole Palmer to Frank Lampard? You know, why are they doing it? Frank Lampard did it for 20 years. Palmer's done it for one season. This is the leadership we're talking about, the consistency, not to take anything away from Cole, obviously a great player. But we need players that the young ones can look up to. And the ones who are better can play alongside and go, you know what, you are on my level. Who does Palmer look at and say, you know what, me and you, we can carry this team together. If they're not doing the job, we are. We've got no one. We've got Cole. That's it. What striker's going to do? What winger? We've got fucking no one. Unfortunately, midfielders don't win games. They help you control them, but very difficult for Enzo and Caicedo to go out and win these games for us. They haven't even been that bad. And what a coincidence it is that all of our best players, well, a lot of our best players, are the higher earners. Fernandes, Caicedo, costs over 100 mil. Cucurella, ready-made signing. Palmer's an exception. It's not a coincidence, guys. It's not a coincidence whatsoever. I'm okay, Tyler. How are you, mate? Alex, even if we beat Villa on Saturday and Southampton, no, that doesn't change. I'm not saying it changes. Of course it doesn't change. But I don't think I ever said anything against that. Yeah, still blue colour out. Big up to you, man. Alex, glad to see you have seen the light. Wasn't the 10-year no-sale clause in effect before Roman wiped out the 1.5 billion debt, making it void? I've heard it said, and wonder if you know anything. Trust the protest. Interesting comment. Wasn't the 10-year no-clause sale in effect before Roman wiped the debt, making it void? Who did you hear that from? I'd be interested to know that. I'm not aware of that, to be honest with you, so I can't comment if I'm honest, Neil. But we can look into it. We can certainly look into it. And with regards to streaming these protests, it's something that I'm looking at. I'm willing to potentially do it, but depends on. Yeah, it really depends. If I'm honest, it depends, because what am I going to stream on my phone? But I've had I mean, it's a bit of a nightmare at the moment because the phone that I record with for all of fan cams, that broke. It doesn't work anymore, so I actually have to go and buy a new one. I'd probably need two phones if I was streaming. I'd need one for before the game, and that would run out of juice. That probably wouldn't last more than an hour. And I'd need one for after. So if I buy another phone, then maybe I'll do it. But it's quite expensive buying phones, so I'm not really sure if I want to do that. We'll see. We'll see. If I can do it, I will do it. They want the sporting directors sacked for being incompetent, but in fact they aren't. They are executing the model to perfection. Big up to you, Tommy. Well, if there is no ambition, and if the idea is, like Igbali said, to be a stable mid-table club, but highly profitable, then I think you make a great point there. Did you see the comment what Petrovic said over the weekend, that he wants to come back to Chelsea and fight for #1 spot? Well, big up to Petrovic, man. No, I didn't. I didn't see that comment. But listen, Petrovic is exactly what this team needs. From my standpoint, you bring in Petrovic. Ideally, you get rid of Maresca, but that's not going to happen. You've got a competent goalkeeper there. Jason is in Thailand. Yeah, I've seen he does. He's got his own little channel as well. But look, I'd happily speak to Jason Mariner if he's happy to speak with me. Then I'd love to interview him and just chat and hear of his experiences and his thoughts on Chelsea at the moment as well. Tim says, need to get the message through to the owners before the summer. Their first target is already the 19-year-old centre-back. The one from Bournemouth, yes, I've seen that. He is performing very well, but again, leadership is what we are looking for, experience. I have nothing against buying young players if they are top young players. And this, to be fair, that young centre-back you're talking about is a bloody good player. We're not talking about a bum here. He's a good player. You don't get Bournemouth to where they are without performing to an exceptional standard. And the fact that he's doing that over the course of the season as well is exceptional. So I don't actually have anything against that signing. The problem is when you have players who didn't even perform that well at their respective clubs, and you're still signing them based on potential. And you look at Mudryk, you look at Madueke, those type of signings are the ones that confuse me more than anything. There are some risky ones out there. Gusto was a risky one, but he turned out to be okay. We just don't have a manager that can fit him into our system because he's clueless and he doesn't know what he's doing. So I'm not against buying young players. Just bring experience to play them alongside. If they bring in this 19-year-old centre-back, it's not the end of the world. But who else are you bringing in? You clearly got the money to do it. And we're certainly going to be selling. I do think there will be plenty of sales. You've got to remember, we've still got Sterling on our books. Can we get some money for him? Can we get it off our wage tab? So, yeah, that's where we are at the moment. Ben Jacobs on TalkSport this morning. Well, I'm associated with TalkSport, so I'm fucked. They ask me to come on their show sometimes. Fair enough. The protests must go on. I'm that depressed. I'm saying we'll lose all 3 games. Will, come on, mate. Chin up. I think we're better than that. We're not going to lose to Southampton. If we lose to Southampton, then Jesus. That's bad. Alex, to be honest, I'd rather have Sanchez in goal because at least he can make saves for me. Jorgensen isn't really ready. Look, nobody's ready, but Jorgensen is young. I can work with that. Sanchez is old and he's shit. When we talk about experience, we want experience that's valuable. I don't want experienced players that are shite and they've experienced being shite their whole career and they just bring that experience and total lack of quality and mentality to the squad. So I'd rather have Jorgensen in there. Again, we're working with a difficult situation, but you got to make the best out of it. The manager can do better. Picking Jorgensen is one of those things that he can do. Spoke earlier, Alex, but if we get Del Horno as a director, it might actually do so. Why Del Horno? Why is everyone talking about Del Horno? You said this on the lunch show earlier. Is there some rumor that he's coming to Chelsea? Why Del Horno? Right, guys, let's dive into what I was saying about Willie Issa as well, because that's what the thumbnail is. We might as well address it. Willie Issa, why have Chelsea appointed ex-Rugby League star to the Premier League, backroom staff? So Chelsea appoint former Wigan Warriors centre Willie Issa as player support and development officer. Issa's former Wigan Warriors coach, Matt Peake, calls the decision intelligent and praises Issa as a cultural architect. The 36-year-old retired from Rugby League in January. Now, in fairness, when we talk about PR, I doubt the club's paying his coach. So I do believe that's true. The point is, though, why the fuck is this all we're talking about when we are diabolical on the field and we're diabolical off the field. This doesn't cover up any of the cracks. It just shows that we don't know where our priorities are as a club. The fact that this is what we're looking at. Why is this a priority and not bringing in the players that we need? Why? Anyway, let's continue the article. Is there more? Yeah, there is more. Chelsea's appointment of recently retired rugby league star Willie Issa is to help support players, has been hailed by his former coach. Issa has moved to Stamford Bridge as a player support with development officer. Sorry, I can't read today. Issa has moved to Stamford Bridge as a player support and development officer after retiring from rugby league with Super League side Wigan Warriors in January, whom he helped win 4 major trophies in 2024. The Samoan international hung up his boots at Wigan last month, ending a 17-year playing career that has also seen him turn out for the Panthers, the Melbourne Storm, the Castleford Tigers, and the Widers Vikings. I don't know any of those teams. I don't follow rugby, to be honest with you. Issa only signed a new deal with the club in October last year, but ended his career to enable him to make the move to Stamford Bridge. Issa is already working closely with the men's football operations team and welfare team at Chelsea. His responsibilities are wide-ranging, but are largely dedicated to player coordination around training and match days. Speaking to The Athletic, Wigan coach Matt Peet said, "I don't expect the supporters to ever physically see the impact that he has at Chelsea, but he is a cultural architect. He will make the environment better and all the individuals around the environment better. Ignore the different shape of the ball that he is associated with. Willie's set skill is all about high-performing teams, leadership, and dealing with people. Everyone at Wigan and in Rugby League understands why Chelsea have made this move. It's intelligent." So I would love to know what you have to say about that, guys. Maybe it is a smart move. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not going to bring anything to the club. He is a winner. He's won trophies. The guy has nothing to do with football, though. So why not just bring in someone who has achieved these things in the English game, in the Premier League with Chelsea? I tell you why. Do you want to know the honest reason why? Because if you asked any of these other players to come in that have played for Chelsea and been a part of this, you'd have to probably pay them a lot more. That seems like the most logical reason as to why we've delved into the world of rugby. God honest truth. That seems like a logical reason. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's have a look at Willie Issa's wages in rugby league. Do we have any idea what his wages were? Does anyone know how much this guy makes in rugby? All right, let's just do top rugby player wages. He's obviously a good rugby player. Highest paid rugby players, what do they make? Okay, this is what we're working with. 550k. So the highest paid rugby player in the world, according to this, is 1.2 million. Now, I know that you shouldn't just, it's money, isn't it? There's no other logical reason to dive into the financials. It's got to be rugby. It's because rugby's a cheap sport. It's a cheap sport. Oh, that's union. Oh, fucking hell. Rugby league. It's even less. No, I'm not saying he's making $1 million. I'm just saying that's the highest earner in rugby, whatever. That's what it says. The point is, John Obi Mikel, when he was at Chelsea, was probably making more than this. Probably making a couple of million, right? John Terry was probably making a couple of million. So you know that if you dive into the world of football with Chelsea, the money that Chelsea players have made, let's just look at John Obi Mikel. I mean, wages at Chelsea. What wages did he have? Okay, there you go. There you fucking go. So it's higher. Yeah, it's quite a bit higher. This says in dollars. It's about 4 million a year in dollars. So let's just average it out to, let's just say, £3.5 million, something like that. So to get a top former Chelsea player, and that's just one example of them, it is considerably more expensive. They wouldn't do it for the same money that a rugby player would do it. They wouldn't do it. So I hate to talk about money all the time, but I think money is a factor. I do believe money is a factor. Why else would you dive into rugby when there are football players who I'm sure would be willing to take on that responsibility? I'm just popping the question to you. I'm sure he has a great attitude, and I'm sure he will actually bring something. I don't believe that Willie Issa will make the environment worse. I think he will make the environment better. So in that regard, you look at it as a positive. But do you not think that we could have had a winning mentality if John Terry was invited into this role? If, I don't know, let's just look at another former player. Who else? Could be anyone. Anyone that won trophies with Chelsea. Check. Someone. Who knows? All about money, in my opinion. Because even though that's a high standard that he's aiming up to, it's still BTEC. It's not football. You can't afford to pay the footballers the footballing wages. So you pay the rugby player a high wage, but for rugby, it's not good enough for football. Zola, there you go. Check. LeBeouf. Let's fucking have it. What's in the mug? Tea. I don't need to hide my mug. Thank you very much. I'm not out of drinking on stream yet. I'll get there, but I'm not there yet. The day I stop drinking tea on stream is going to be tough. That's when you know it's all gone wrong. Maybe for a watch along or something, because otherwise I can't. Drinking lager, you lie. So here's one of the things that I want to also look at is some of the tweets I've seen. It can be a little bit divisive, if I'm totally honest. Yeah. So this is something that Frank Lampard come and said. So today we're looking at CFC Daily and some of the stuff he's been saying. I'm intrigued by some of the stuff that's been put up. Let's listen to Frank Lampard.
So when I left, and I said it quite a lot when I was there, and people sort of threw it back at me a bit. I was like, standards have not been good enough here. You have to have a level of standards to be a top club. Forget about the tactics of the layer on top. Things below have to be right to perform. And I didn't see it there. Now, I think in the summer, to be fair, players moved on, probably some rightfully so for them and for the club. And new players came in. So I think that probably would have sort of freshened up the feel and pre-season for the new manager. Respect to Maurizio because he's known as a good manager, rightly so, deserves respect. But in my opinion, it was going to be a challenge again to keep moving forward quickly like people will expect. And that's proven the case. So I think you'll be very careful to point fingers at the manager himself or point fingers at maybe a young player that's trying to find form in a team that hasn't really got experience spine there that they can rely and look up to certain players. The strategy has been to bring in young players. So you've got young kids coming over at 21 from another country, trying to fit into a team. Now, I'm not saying in my day, but in my day, when you bring in those younger players, they sit themselves on the bench or they train alongside and watch how competitive training is and watch a Drogba and how he trains and watch a John Terry and how he leads the club. And they learn and then they get into the team or they don't. And they don't come through at Chelsea. So to ask a lot of players to do that at the same time and develop, I think is not an easy thing. So I think be very careful I think the strategy, of course, will be questioned. And I think there probably have been things done that you kind of look now and kind of go, could it have been different? Yes. But it's getting it right now.
Could have been different. Could have been a lot fucking different. It's fine china for a fine tea. It's actually a gift from my mum. So big up to my mum. It is not decaf, I'm afraid. If I could bring back 3 players who left the club in the past 4 seasons, who would it be? Good question. I would bring back. It's a good question. It's a very good question. Oh, fuck me. Let me have a think on that. If we're just looking at this team as a whole, and I know that we're still going to have Maresca, I'm going to try and think, okay, players that Maresca can actually work with here. Honestly, let's look at defensively. Who did we get rid of defensively? Let's see what the chat says as well, guys. Yeah, Rudiger. Yeah, it's true. Rudiger. That's one. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Rudiger's one. I loved Rudiger. Brilliant player. 2 more players. I don't think that Aspie would fit what we're doing at the moment, if I'm honest. I do agree with Jorginho would make sense. Yeah, Jorginho would make sense. Yeah, I'd probably go with Jorginho, Rudiger. I wouldn't go with Kante. Because I don't see how he fits into the system. And then we would have to drop Caicedo. So I don't see why we would need Kante. I don't think we would need him. I think Jorginho is a good one. Oh, one more player. Tammy Abraham's not a bad shout either, you know. He's not a bad shout. So underrated. He was only here for a brief stint. Guy was actually okay, but Eden Hazard was longer than 4 years, wasn't it? So I don't think Hazard is in that equation. Oh, Giroud. Yes, Giroud. Yeah, that's my 3. So who did I pick? Rudiger, Giroud, and Jorginho. That is my 3 right there. That would be a nice one. Good question as well, man. That's a nice question. So, you know, when I look at what is happening on here as well, like, there's a couple of things as well that I've seen, and I just think to myself, it's interesting. Where is it? Chelsea's point tally after 25 league matches. Now, this is one that's caused a little bit of debate. This was under Sarri. This was Lampard. This was also Lampard? No. Which one? Have I got mixed up there? Yeah. So that's Maresca, Poch, Potter, Tuchel. Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't look like a complete disaster, does it, that we're on 43 points? But, I mean, let's just look at the Bowley era, which is from this time frame and this time frame only, from 22-23. You would argue that there could be a progression, 32, 35, 43. Now, in the 22-23 season, the season was over by this point. Like, we were done. Maybe we had Champions League or something. That was it. Nobody had any hope for the team whatsoever. We were like, nah, we're finished. We brought in Frank, and it was just vibes. That was it. Didn't even really want to watch the games. Just went and started drinking at the football. That was about it, really. And then I had to do my fan cams. 23-24, we had a shaky start, but we got better and better and better and better. And we gradually improved and developed the players we had, which is what a good manager should do. Jackson improved. We found a solution for Cucurella. Cole Palmer flourished. Gusto flourished. Reece James was fantastic when he was on the pitch. Defensively, we started to find a little bit of consistency. And then Nkunku come back towards the end of the season, started scoring goals as well. And Caicedo was improving as well. And Caicedo improved a lot from when the season started to when it ended. Here, we don't see improvement now. We see regression. I just said to you when you asked me about the next 3 games that I think we're going to get, 4 points out of 9. We lose to Villa. We beat Southampton, and we probably draw against Leicester. That's where we are right now. So from my standpoint, this might look healthy. It's not healthy. This tweet is no context FC. There's no context to this. It's papering over the cracks. Unfortunately, we are in the mud. People don't want to say it, but we are. Also, Michael Oliver will referee Aston Villa versus Chelsea. It'd be interesting to know what you think. Based on what I'm reading on Twitter, a lot of people are not very happy about that. They said there's going to be an incoming red card. Ben Jacobs has come out and said he understands that no Chelsea player has any clause in their contract allowing an exit if the club failed to qualify for the UEFA Champions League. This includes Cole Palmer. Chelsea's incentive-driven contract, which has already seen Palmer rewarded with an incremental wage increase and Enzo Fernandez extended, do not offer this type of release clause, formal or informal. So for those of you who are wondering about Palmer leaving, again, the player could still want to leave. That doesn't change. Like we act like we have all this security. If the player wants to go and he downs tools, we're in a bit of a situation. We want the players to want to play for us. But again, we'll have to see what happens. So, Alex, I don't think I can go another season without Champions League. Fucking hell. Telling me, man. You're telling me, bro. I have us finishing the season on 57 points. It's projected 67 points will get you top 5. So we need to crap 10 points out of somewhere. Not happening. I don't think we're going to be crapping out any points. So I agree with you, top dog. 4-3-3, change the system, get the fullback pushing up and tighten midfield. We need change it. Maresca is stubborn. Maresca is useless, my friend. He is useless. We've got a useless club all round. They're just useless. Manager's useless. He makes the players look useless when they're not. Some of them are, but most of them aren't, actually. Augusto's a prime example of a decent player who looks like an absolute idiot on the pitch because he's got an idiot telling him what to do. Gaffer, I like running up and down. Please. No, stay in the midfield. Keep looking shit. Fuck off. Only players I would keep: Palmer, Caicedo, Guiu, Vega, Petrovic, Cucurella, James only if he stays fit. I think it's a little bit harsh, mate. Our last 5 games look tough. We've got a tough run there. That could be the defining moment of this season. And I've heard people talking about Maresca and the way that he has capitulated, even with Leicester, towards this time of the season. This is not something that's brand new. The same thing happened last year. And we are seeing something similar. And then they had a small bounce back towards the end. So I'm hoping by those 5 games we're still in it and we can go on a run. And maybe that would be the catalyst for us to scrape Champions League football. But I don't believe it. I am not a believer. If I went in a church right now, I'm not a believer. I do not believe in the religion of Chelsea Football Club running themselves into the ground. Not financially, because they're just taking the money out. And they're not spending as much anyway in terms of wages, and they're going to flip players. So, it's, we are responsible with our money, but just not in the interests of winning football matches. We're responsible with our money in the interests of making more money. Leicester fans told us Maresca does not change, but he isn't the problem. Well, he doesn't change. He is the problem. He's one of the problems. Look, I don't like any of them. I don't like the owners. I don't like the directors. I think the manager's a bum. That's my situation. I'd be happy if they sacked him, but they won't sack him. I hope that Maresca turns it around. I really do. I just struggle to see it, if I'm honest with you. If he gets Champions League with this squad, then I apologize. I really do. I apologize. Not going to sit here and say I love him, but I'll apologize. Champions League. I'd rather have Champions League. You've got to remember, they are doing what they're being told to do. They are doing what they're being told to do. So that could, you would argue that someone else comes in and does the same sort of thing. So, yeah, Champions League. Definitely. What about Champions League and you sack them anyway? How about that? Can we find a compromise here, Cammy? Carlo was amazing. 8-0, 8-0 Wigan. We beat another 5 times 5-0 and 6-0. The best season ever. Rest in peace, Ray Wilkins. Oh, big up. I actually met Ray Wilkins, and I spoke with him. I met him in an England match, and we spoke with him. And the only thing I remember from the conversation was this was at the time where Lampard was our manager in his first stint, and Ray Wilkins was not a fan of Baddy. Is it Baddy? No, it's not Baddy Shill. Batshuayi, our striker, who I actually quite liked. I think he was a good impact sub. But Ray Wilkins didn't even think he was good enough to be a footballer. He thought he was rubbish. So big up to Ray Wilkins as well. Maresca isn't stubborn. He's just clueless. Fair play. I'll give you that. Is UEFA Champions League or burst, Alex? Someone's lying to the fan base. Obviously, they're not just lying to the fan base. They're lying to themselves. Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you saying these things? Ridiculous. Good to see you in the chat, Enzo. Can you please score against Villa again? Unambitious owner, no balls, directors, flip-flop mouthpiece manager, dog show top to bottom. If things don't change, I will start to believe Maresca wants the sack and the money. Fair enough. Can't be a little payout. Maybe it's in everyone's best interest to get him out, himself included. Who knows? Get Diego Costa until the end of the season. Errol, I don't think that's going to solve our problems, if I'm honest with you, mate. He's way past it. But I understand what you mean, but he's not the solution, I'm afraid. As sad as I think it's time for Reece James to leave. He's on a high wage and the bloke cannot stay fit. Nicky, well, you're not even entirely wrong, but no, we need. I don't know, man. I've had this Reece James debate with people. To be fair, I'm not even again. The thing is, if we got rid of him and used the wages to invest in another player, you could almost justify it. But Reece James offers more than what a lot of players would offer. Even with the limited amount of minutes that he plays, he still makes a great impact when he is on the pitch. Leicester bounced back because they had experienced players like Vardy, Pereira and others, which we obviously don't have to save our lives on the pitch. You make a great point. Maresca is already speaking like he's accepted a mutual agreement to leave the club. It's a very negative outlook, but it's not entirely wrong. Jordan, he says if Cole Palmer decided to leave Chelsea with his release clause, he won't go back to Man City. He might go to Real Madrid. If they put 100 million, Chelsea will snap their hands off. But who will we use to replace him with? I'll tell you who will replace him. We'll replace him with bloody Esteval, mate. Or Kendry Pyers, and we'll do the same thing. Although I would argue it's not even in Chelsea's best interest financially to get rid of Palmer, because at least you've got someone who's selling the shirts. You've got someone who's in the commercials. This is the face of your brand. So I do think that there is commercial value having Cole Palmer, having top players. You can't just fucking flip and that's it. I mean, maybe there will. Who knows? Surely there's more to it than that. I mean, you want to grow your brand as well. How can you grow a brand when you just keep selling your best players? He's part of the spine. Not that there is much of a spine, but he's part of whatever that spine is. Even if we did finish in the top four, this squad wouldn't be able to cope. They can't even cope with the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. Well, you would hope that we invest in more signings, and then we can rotate in that sense. But we'll see. Will I be going to Villa away? Yes, I will. I will be there. Tinsweller says, time to get the Zerbi. No, disagree with that, mate. I don't think he's a solution either. Too much talk about the owners. What are these players actually paid for just because they're performing very poorly with zero passion? I do think, again, that's a bit harsh, mate. I think that's harsh. You know, I think the players do care. A lot of them care, but it's difficult. Again, they're being managed by an idiot. It's like anything. In any role, forget football. You know, if you work in an office or for a company and your manager is an idiot, you don't enjoy your job as much because you know you can do better, but he's restricting what you're doing. And I think he's restricting what a lot of these players can do. There's probably parts of the style of play that actually restrict the players from running. Gusto's a great example of that. Our fullbacks are actually restricted in terms of how much effort they're able to put in. Because when you've got a winger there that needs support, Maresca's saying, no, don't go up and support him. Stay where you are or go in the midfield. So that system actually makes some players do less. Again, sometimes the system works, but yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say the players aren't passionate. I don't agree entirely with that. I do think the players care. I just think that they're working in a very difficult circumstance. Alex, I saw Scott yesterday saying we are trying to do what City Group is doing. Haaland is on 865k per week at City. What player do we have for more than 200k per week? Reece James. Just Reece James. Sterling, even though he's not here. 250 or 225. That's plus the 100k Arsenal are paying. That's it, I think. That's it. Just those two. Just those two. Yeah, we're not going to be paying anyone 800k a week, that's for sure. 1.5 billion, we could, if we bought 109 million pound experience players a spine, and we could build out the world's best talented youth players around them. Not that hard for the data to figure out. Absolutely, mate. You make a great point. We could have got much more players as well than that, mate. Serious conversations need to be out about Colwell. Vega is killing it in Juve, and Hoytson being targets. He needs to be up to this game ASAP. I think that we need to, Vega needs to be part of our plans as a centre back next season. Again, Maresca's a bum. If he doesn't play, the guy's a fucking idiot. So, yeah, he's just stupid, man. I will be doing the vlog. Yes. I will be at the protest. Yes. I don't even think Jesus can save Chelsea at this point, to be honest with you. But we can still pray. Guys, we've got 116 of you in the live right now. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Big up to everyone that is on the live as well. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm about to have steak and ale pie with my tea. Remember, it is tea. It's empty now. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We will be going live at 1 o'clock tomorrow, as well as 7 o'clock as well tomorrow. 2 live shows. I will be running the lunchtime show. Is it just me? Oh. Fucking hell. I may or may not be on the live show tomorrow. It might be Nina. Well, it will be Nina. Maybe Kev as well. So I might decide to jump on or come off as well. So Nina will be doing the live show at lunch. That will be at 1 o'clock. And then in the evening at 7, it will be Charlie. So check those ones out, guys. And I'm sure they'll have slightly different perspectives. At the end of the day, it's all about having perspectives. We might not all agree, but that's why we're here. We're here to have a chat. We can always debate as well. And we all have one thing in common, which is that we love Chelsea. So big up to everyone, and catch up soon.